Um, this is a this is the whole cosmos. Um, but what prompted me to do this was how sometimes you're observing your own behavior. You become aware of why you become aware of what you become aware of, why you do what you do as energy in motion, if you will, the cognitive stuff. The difference between living through your heart and soul, if you will, and this, the mental field. So I've always known that I don't do anything the same way twice because I don't repeat the same patterns of behavior. So what do? I turn on my phone, and then I'm watching a guy who's a big wave rider who broke his back at a place called Jaws, which is in Maui, which is a big wave. Okay, so my father threw me in the Pacific Ocean when I was a couple of years old, and I began to learn how to swim um, in powerful currents. Okay, right, and it's certainly and the ocean is like a second home to me if it's not the first home, to be honest with you, because of that. It's a place that I go to get cleaned up, right? Because the frequencies that are in these waters, particularly in the Hawaiian waters, just when you come out, you're just refreshed. It's like all the goo, all the junk that you pick up, all the dirty stuff is gone, right? So that becomes a methodology why you naturally know how to do that. So I grew up in Newport Beach, which became a famous sort of surfing community. But when I grew up there in the 1950s and early 60s and used to go out to catch waves, most of the people that I was out there with were doing it because they were gifts. Waves are gifts. Okay, I call them gifts from mama because they're powerful waves, because it's powerful cleansing. It's a good way to physically exercise. I don't know of a faster way to get in greater physical shape and to get your basic metabolic rate up at a higher rate of speed than it is with the Pacific Ocean because I've done it. It'll shave any fat you got on you, any acid storage you got going. I used to swim out to a buoy every day at Newport Beach, go run up and down the sands, like the isometrics and your calf muscles, your feet, your calves, your thighs, right? And then when you're out in the ocean, you're using all your muscle groups. So when you're out there during powerful waves and powerful currents, you get your entire physical body in shape, which is why I prefer to body surf than I do to board surf, although I've done both. All of it, actually, the different kinds of board surfings. So this particular your gentleman, which, by the way, probably deserves another observation, which was as we were moving from the early 1960s up into like the 70s, I began experiencing more aggressive energy of people that were coming out on boards. And this is when the what we call trophy hunters money. Now people are surfing for money, they're surfing for acknowledgement, they're surfing for ribbons and getting their name put up all over all the cameras come out, all the magazines come out, and that's what they do. There's a big difference between a native and a non-native. Okay? To them, it's all about money and attention, getting attention, and the more attention they get, who do you think makes most money off all these guys that are surfing? All the ad revenues, right? The corporate umbrellas, right? So you can see what happened to the sport. Why they call it a sport? Because now it becomes an entertainment venue. Now it becomes commercialized. So that's what they do to everything. They commercialize everything that we do naturally in spirit form with a soul. Big difference in why we do what we do, where we do it, when we do it, to bring the energy in there. Okay? So this particular gentleman was talking about how he broke his back at Jaws and how they now, because now they're running what I call the circuit. They all run the circuit now, which is like a circus. Okay, because now they get all the videos go up, all the magazines go up, all the TV, all the competition for trophies, awards, and money. Now they're essentially taking what is given to them as free. It's free energy. Waves are free energy. Mother Earth, the great living oversoul spirit of Mother Earth, is giving all us surfers free waves. Doesn't cost nothing. They take what's given to them for free and they invert it and make money off it. And that's what they do. Okay. So that's to the entire surfing community. Okay. So there's a big difference if you go out privately on a beach, you go out there every day because you live on the beach like where I used to live in Taylor Camp. Okay. And you used to go out in the ocean and surf and body surf all the time, right? So there's different reasons why we do it. Okay. If you're looking to get a name for yourself and put your name on all these magazines upon which you get all the kickbacks, right? How much is getting picked back to Mother Earth? Because where do you think all those electrons as money that's now being inverted is coming from? Us, off our souls. So now we get back into repeated patterns of behavior. And this is simply by looking at my own journey from the time I was a child, because I was on fire to learn. And I wanted to experience everything that was possible to experience. So I'm not doing what? I'm not repeating patterns of behavior that can be predicted by artificial intelligence to make a copy of you. Okay? So in other words, it's the same thing as I mentioned before when I was in a classroom. What do you want to be when you grow up? I can be anything I want to be. I'll be a surfer for a week. I'll be a cowboy for another week. I'll be a firefighter for a month, and then I'll be a scientist for 2 months. Then I'll go be a truck driver. Then I'll go be this. Then I'll go be that. Then I'll go be this. So now you're learning through direct experience, and direct experience is the fastest teacher. Now you're accelerating your learning by the more that you're doing from what you're learning. Okay, so the one occupation I spent the most time in, if you will, or spending most of my time and energy in, was in rescue. As an energy medic, which simply means in love and service to others, to the community. Okay, so it's not about money. It's about the fact that you're on a spiritual energy battlefield. So that changes everything, doesn't it? Yes, it does. So now you realize it's an AI war game. So they're gaming for your soul's energy to siphon it off. Okay, so that's the much deeper truth of all that is embedded in all this. Okay, so I noticed this morning when this young man, and many of them, and they learn, wow, I want to go do this. And it's a rush, what we call an energy rush. Wow, take off on a 60-foot wave with a jet ski. Wow. I know what it's like to experience that rush, right? So it's much like an addiction, no different than a heroin addiction. Wow, I want that rush again. Wow, I want that rush again. Wow, I want that rush again. Now it becomes a repeated form of behavior, right? So now the AI is mapping your behavioral algorithms and realizing you're doing the same things over and over again for the same reasons over and over and over again, right? And so what you begin to notice, those patterns become predictable and they become copyable. Now I could produce another one of you that's doing the same thing. And how do you know the difference? Well, when I was in childhood, that's what I realized. Okay, I'm surrounded by robots. Their behavior doesn't change much. They pretty much follow. It's like a herd. You know, like the Fox 1 Sports Media, cow herd the cows, right? So you realize that the reality is not going to change because most of these people are following orders. And where are they getting the orders? They're cybernetic. Okay, which means the very idea that they think out of the box and do something different 5 minutes from now, let alone 2 seconds from now, is not within their state of consciousness in order to do that, because they're not running a real living life, which is what love is. It frees you from being able to experience whatever you want from which you're learning. And you're learning at a higher rate of speed than a machine. And that's the truth of it. So these are just simply observations that I share with others about sharing how I experience and learn from the environment that I'm in by all the others that are in that environment, by what they do with their energy and why they do what they do with their energy. That helps explain the kind of relationship that we have and the reality that we experience, and why you have an energy war going on. Okay, because the more money that is sucked out of the system, okay, electrons that are sucked out, because, hey, man, I'm going to make $1 billion this year. And the more people that perceive their security through money is an inverter, which means they're not giving anything back. In other words, they're using their energy to acquire more energy in the form of money, which is electrons that are numbers. So you realize that the more inverters that you have of people that are seeking to gain and accumulate more money are doing what? They're digging a black hole. They're never going to get to zero. They're never going to balance their energy account. So that means that their energy is not balanced. Their mind's energy is not balanced. Their soul's energy is not balanced. So when everybody's in love and service to others, everybody thrives. And when you're thriving, your creative mind kicks in when you're experiencing what love is. Now, when your creative mind kicks in, doing the same thing over and again as an artist is like yuck. Because then it becomes boring and repetitive. Because you're on fire to experience and create more things that are different from the last, and you're doing it with an engine that is running hotter than you can ever imagine. When you're lit on fire because you have so much light that's running through your consciousness, which is the inflow. So you're experiencing eternal love through your own heart. And that means there are no limits. There are no boundaries to what you can experience in your own mind's imagination, but what you can experience in a physical way by the manner in which you do it that is different from all the rest, which means breaking the mold. The mold's been broken. So we cut the cycle of repeated patterns and repeated realities that don't serve us, which means we're done being fed on. Soul's being fed on, right? And not going anywhere. It's like a hamster wheel. So that's called breaking the time loop, which is breaking the wars. The war cycle. That's what it is. Of feeding on our energy. Yep. Have a great day.